The suffragettes was an early 20th century political movement dedicated to getting women the right to vote in England. It's probably not going to surprise you when you hear that women demanding to be treated like people and not objects received some very violent pushback. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Ain't that true? So, today I want to talk about a handful of the weapons that were very commonly used by the suffragettes as they fought to gain their rights against people that would try to restrict their rights. The first is the hat pin. This was a common type of jewelry in the early 1900s when fashion said you needed a large, elegant hat. The pins were long needles, like several inches long, that you would use to secure the hat to your head. Women took to the practice of using those long needles to dissuade men that were getting handsy on, the subway or the bus. And it got to the point that so many guys were being stuck with these things that several cities tried to ban or restrict what kind of hat pins you could have. Like you needed a rounded tip, or it couldn't be longer than so many inches because too many guys were getting stabbed by women for trying to feel them up. Now, they didn't say, oh, it's too many that are trying to feel up women. They justified it as, oh, these guys are getting, stuck with the pins on accident. And let me tell you, even with like a really long hat pin, like 8, 10 inches, if it's in your hair and a guy gets close enough to you that he accidentally spikes himself on it, he was trying to sniff your hair. There's not too much writing specifically about how to use these. I did find one source that had specific target areas, which was the face, hands, and quote unquote, where it will hurt the most. But other than that, it's really just, grab it and stab it. But if you would like to do some reading and recreating these on your own, I would suggest medieval rondel dagger sources because it's actually like really similar mechanically, except a rondel dagger you'd hold full on in your hand, and with a hat pin you probably are going to need to put your thumb on the tip of the pin so that it won't slide down your hand as you're stabbing. But one thing that I was able to find that was like somewhat contemporary with the time period I'm talking about is the Manual del Bartero, which is a Spanish knife fighting manual. And you can see this image. It is a guy that is using his hat as a shield for his knife fight. Now, there's no literature that I was able to find where a woman was using her hat as a shield after drawing her hat pin, but it would obviously be a resource that was available to her. It is something that, like, was probably used, but I can't say it was used for sure. Anyways, moving on from the hat pin, we have the umbrella. Now, from these pictures are of a woman named Marguerite Vigny, as she is showing off her patented, well, not patented, but like her unique umbrella fighting style. Um, with most umbrellas at the time, if they were sturdy enough, you could, sort of sharpen the end and use it as a small sword, like use small sword techniques for it. But if your umbrella wasn't all that sturdy, you'd have to two hand it and sort of go use it like a bayonet. A really, really good resource for how to use an umbrella in combat. Sorry that I'm, giving credit to a man on a fighting style that is supposed to be like women's, but William Fairbairn, in his book Hands Off: Self-Defense for Women, shows a really concise, really effective umbrella combat system. I've actually made a YouTube short about it, and I will link that in the description. Anyways, after the umbrella, we get to my absolute favorite suffragette weapon. These are Indian clubs that were confiscated after an event called the Battle of Glasgow in 1914. So, what an Indian club is it's a weight, basically. So, this is essentially the 1910s version of your mom's 2 pound 2 pound dumbbell. So a lot of people would have these. They were very common. You exercise with them by, here's a picture of me swinging them around your head and body in like, specific patterns. And a group of the suffragettes called the bodyguards were well known to hide these under their dress. So what the Battle of Glasgow is it was a suffragette protest in 1914. The suffragettes put out a bunch of news, try and get a huge crowd. They've got a whole lot of people there, and obviously the police try and raid it. Now, the first police officer, in the riot squad got, he didn't get shot. You can see that there is a revolver there. He didn't get shot because they used a blank. So a member of the suffragette bodyguards just whips out a revolver and basically makes this guy faint in fear because he thinks he's just been shot. And, then they obviously arrested her, recovered that revolver. But as they're trying to get to the, central platform that this protest is on, a bunch of suffragette bodyguards pull these Indian clubs out from underneath their dresses. And the source that I found said 25 suffragettes versus 50 police officers. Now you can see that these Indian clubs are a bit bigger than, your average truncheon, but not that much bigger. So, how, you ask, did they, even up the playing field? They're outnumbered 2 to 1. They don't have that much better of a weapon. Well, they've got that platform that I mentioned, the platform that the protest is actually, that all the speakers are on. And this platform has a bunch of flowers on it that, when the police try to climb up it, they realize that the flowers are hiding a bunch of barbed wire. So all of a sudden, some cop probably shows up expecting he's gonna, just flick these women in the nose, send them on their way back to their husbands. No, now he's got a fistful of barbed wire and a head full of Indian club. Yeah, I am not doing that story nearly enough justice. It requires a video all its own. But just my point is that the Indian club and the use of it as a weapon is central to the story. You can find some books and, some YouTube videos on how to use Indian clubs for exercise. In fact, I've made, one of my own. And yeah, if you were going to fight with an Indian club, you'd basically just go through the regular swinging exercise and just make sure that the guy you're angry at is in the middle of your swing. These are the 2-pound clubs that I have right here. And if you want something bigger, this is a 10-pound steel Indian club. This thing is, hard to work out with. And in all honesty, I would not bring this thing into a fight just because it's going to waste so much stamina. You can't swing it for however long you're going to need it. Anyways, that is my presentation on the various weapons of the suffragettes. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe if you did. And I think I will, if I've got some good feedback on this thing, I will probably talk about more suffragette-related subjects. There was actually something I found out very recently. Between 1912 and 1914, the suffragettes actually went on a legit terrorist bombing campaign in order for women to get the right to vote. So, yeah, follow me for more if you'd like to learn that. Thank you.